uh, lives in Colorado, and he was doing some geocaching. When he came to visit us, we were up at Mayo Clinic, my husband was up there, and we needed a break, so he said, well, let's go, there's a geocache over in the park within walking distance from Mayo, let's go find it. So we did, and it was cool, so I got to find it. And then I kind of put that behind me, and then I was really into waterfalls. I loved waterfalls and I love photographing waterfalls. And after many years of starting in like '99 of really, whenever I went on a trip, I'd look for waterfalls along with everything else. When my husband and I traveled together, for every museum he got to stop at, we stopped at a waterfall. You know? 'Cause I didn't care for museums. So I finally decided I want to try to find a waterfall from every state. There was a book out, Waterfalls USA, and it was missing a couple of states. It was missing Delaware and it was missing North Dakota. Well, I found a waterfall in Delaware, but I decided there must not be any in North Dakota. So I contacted the Parks Department, I contacted the State Tourism Department. Everybody said no waterfalls in North Dakota. So on my website, I have all my waterfall photos on my website. I put no waterfalls in North Dakota. Well, somebody sent me an email with a photo of a waterfall in North Dakota.
There you go.
And said it was in a state forest. So I contacted the state forest that it was in, and they said, well, there is a waterfall, there's no trail to it, but we have the GPS coordinates for it. So I remembered my son was doing geocaching GPS. I'd never used a GPS before. So I said, hey, John, show me how to use this so I can learn how to use it well enough to get from my car to the waterfall, and more important, to get back to my car. So I started geocaching. My first one I found was out in Colorado when we were visiting. He got me online, got me set up, so I started doing that. So then I started finding geocaches in every state I went through, as well as looking for the waterfalls. So my last I found the one in North Dakota. It was my next to last one. And I went there, by the time I got there, it was a 2-mile trail in. It wasn't marked, but they gave me kind of a hand-drawn map, and I had the coordinates, and I found it. And I found my car when I was done. So that was cool. So my last state was Alaska. I was saving that for last. So we went up to Alaska, to Misty Fjords. My husband liked the seaplane, so we took the seaplane over the waterfalls and a boat through the fjords.
Cool.
And we couldn't do much more traveling because he had stroke, and we couldn't do much, but we could do that, so that was cool. So by then I was geocaching, and I said, well, I might as well geocache every state. Too bad I didn't start this sooner. So my last geocaching state was Hawaii.
Oh.
So it was cool. So anyway, that's how I got started. Geocaching itself got started in the year 2000, and if anyone's interested, I have some, it's the history of geocaching. It's more detailed than what I can give you. But basically what happened was, in the year 2000, the government did something to make coordinates, latitude and longitude coordinates with the whatever you call it, to be 10 times more accurate. So they said you should be able to pinpoint any place by latitude and longitude. Somebody said, and there was an online internet group that dealt with coordinates for whatever they were doing. And someone said, I want to test this. I'm going to put something. So we went out in the middle of nowhere, in the woods, put a bucket with some goodies in it, and a little tablet, posted the coordinates online with this group that he was in, and said, if anybody finds it, let me know. Well, somebody found it and let him know. And they said, well, that's cool. So somebody said, I'm gonna do that. So somewhere else, somebody else did that. Somebody else did it, and pretty soon people were saying, I wonder if I do that, if people will come find it. And the saying went out, put it up and they will come. If you hide it, they will come. And now there are geocaches all over the world.
There are 2 million geocaches worldwide. There are probably even some near you right now. You have your phone or GPS. Go ahead. I'll wait. Then, create a free geocaching account and you're ready to go. The way it works is simple. Just choose the geocache that you want to find and navigate to its location. What you're looking for varies. Geocaches come in different sizes, shapes, and difficulties. Geocaching isn't always easy, so it's okay to get excited when you discover the cache. After finding it, sign the logbook, trade knickknacks if you want, and log your find online. When you're done, just put the geocache back where you found it, and you're on to the next one. Hey, it's the other way. There's an adventure happening all the time, all around you. Become a part of it at geocaching.com.
Caching kind of combines geo for the earth and cache, which is like a stash, which is like hiding something, placing something. If you know, the old miners used to have a cache. They put their supplies, and then when my son does his mountain climbing, he caches maybe some beer for when he comes down, so he can have something to drink when he gets done. So it's combining also, if you're familiar with the technological term cache on your computer, it stores pictures and things for a while. So it's geo, getting out into the world combined with the technology. So it's not spending all your time with the computer, but it's getting out and moving around plus the computer. So that's basically what it is. And initially, as I mentioned, it's hiding something, placing something, and people come and find it. They sign the log that's in there. Every cache will have paper log to sign that you were there, to verify that you were there. And then you can log it online too, but that's what it is. Lots of different kinds of geocaches. Different shapes, different sizes. I've got some over there that you can look at. These are some geocaches in the real world. This is my mother. When we went to Florida, she was looking at this is an ammo can. This is one of the larger caches. And she loved to cache, so we did it once in a while. So there's large ones. There's some of them have, most of the larger ones have goodies in them. You can see little toys and trinkets and things. The rule is if you take something, you need to put something in its place of equal or greater value, so that there's always something. The kids love to go geocaching.
I just lost it.
Container with a rock sitting on it. This-
Oh, sure.
And then these are travel bugs. Travel bugs are another story. Travel bugs like to travel from cache to cache to cache. And each travel bug has its goal. So a goal of a travel bug might be just to travel to all the states. So if I come to a cache and there's a travel bug in it, and you can tell them because they have a trackable number on them, instead of taking that goodie in exchange for another goodie, like you can with little toys, you can take that travel bug, log it in that you took it, take it to another cache, leave it there, and somebody else will take it somewhere else. My son had a travel bug that was a little Eeyore, whose goal was to go to Pooh Corner in England. Within 6 months, Eeyore was in Pooh Corner in England.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
I've got one that's been in Germany Germany, Netherlands, it's been in Europe for quite a while now. Sometimes they get lost. One of mine, somebody contacted me and said, I was looking for a cache, I couldn't find the cache because the whole area burned. But I did find the tag for a travel bug that had my number, so he tracked it. The little frog that was attached to it was gone. So he mailed me the tag, I put it on another frog and sent him on his way again. Okay, then there's micros. This was a cool one. There was like this little cut in the side of the hill. And in the corner were some rocks kind of piled up there that looked suspicious. So I pulled some away, hoping I wouldn't find anything else back there. And I found the little cache there. This one, you can see what it is? That's cackle.
Here, you want to play?
That's one of mine.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Halloween cache. It's
Oh.
and then you open the bison tube, and then there's not now, I didn't put one in, but there's a log inside that you sign. These are some various caches here that you can look at, but they come in all sizes and all shapes and all colors. There's nanos. I don't know if you can see, but on this stop sign post right up there is that little thing. It's magnetized, so it's just stuck on the pole. This is the log that's inside it. It's all rolled up, you sign it, roll it back up and stick it back in.
How do you sign it? There's not enough room on
Very
it.
small.
You have to write your whole name?
Sometimes you just put your initials or something.
Date?
This one, can you see what it is? A spider up in the tree? He's about this big.
I'm not sure if I run away from that one.
This one was cool because when I looked at it, I didn't see anything except there's a suspicious looking tube that had like camouflage duct tape on it on the outside and a rock on top. So I pulled the rock out and it had that little tube on the side of it. So I opened it up, got it out, and there it was. Then there's park and grab. Some caches you might walk for miles in the woods, and you'll know before because the page will tell you, and you can see from the map how far it is. So some are a nice hike if you're out for a hike. Others are called park and grabs, and literally you can park and grab. If there's one in a parking lot that the coordinates kind of take you toward a lamppost, first thing to do is check under the light skirt. There's the cement thing, and then there's this little light skirt.
Yeah.
I didn't know it for a long time, but they lift up. And if you look here,
Cool.
it's lifted up, and underneath there is the little cache.
Mickey, are they always outside?
They're always outside. They can't be buried. They can't be buried. They can be like
Not in dirt, but they can be buried under rocks.
under rocks. They can be, you can kind of have a little hole and put some sticks over it, but they can't be buried underground.
And they can't be inside of a building either then?
I think there's one that is, one or two, but generally they're not. Also, there are regulations. They can't be near a railroad. They can't be on federal property. If they're on private property, you need to get permission from the landowner. I wanted to put some in Rock Island parks to bring people to the parks. And I contacted the park board. Their rules were very stringent. I needed to get permission and tell them right where it was and what it was, and that's no problem. But every March, I had to remove it, put it in a different location, and I thought, sometimes in a little park, there's only one good spot to place it. So I decided I didn't want to put them in the park, so what I did was I made multi-caches, took them to the park, get some information from a sign or something, took them to another park, get some information, put that together to get the coordinates for the cache that is located just outside one of the parks. So I accomplished my purpose of getting people to the parks, but I didn't have to go through so it's on public property. Night caches are really cool. I don't know if you can see, there's a little teeny orange dot. You know, those little magnet, or those little neon tacks. You need a strong flashlight and find one of those, go up to it, and then shine around till you see another one. You go to that one, and you just follow the trail of the tacks till you get to the cache. There's a couple of those over at Black Hawk Park. They're really neat. There's a little island off of Butterworth Parkway, out by the captain's table. There's that little dock there. There's a little island out there, there's a cache on it. I don't have a boat, so I couldn't get to it, but one day someone called and said, hey, we got a boat, you want to come and join us and go find the cache? So we did. It was cool. I've gone to one that was on an island in the winter, and there was a trail of across the ice fishermen, little huts. And so I said, okay, it's safe. And I went and I got it. Okay, so there's lots of different kinds of caches. The main kind are the regular cache. And there's an object, you find it, you sign the log. If you want to trade goodies, you do. You put it right where you found it. Then there's mystery caches. And those are the ones where the coordinates that you're given isn't where it's placed. You have to either solve a puzzle, or like in the case of the parks, you had to go to here and get some information, go here, get some information, put it together to figure out what the actual coordinates are. One was literally a puzzle online. It was a jigsaw puzzle, and you can do them online now. When you got the puzzle solved, the coordinates were written on it. So then you knew where to go. Some of the mystery caches are challenge caches. To do a challenge cache, you can't find and log the cache, can't log it online until you've met the challenge. It could be, for example, there's an alphanumeric challenge where in order to find this final cache, you have to have already found a cache that started with every letter of the alphabet and every number 1 through 9. Once you've done that and you make your list, tell what you found, where you found it, the date you found it, then you can find this challenge cache. It's a challenge cache, find a cache in every state. There's simpler ones. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but there's simpler challenges. Those were pretty challenging. Then there's multi-cache. A multi-cache, the coordinates take you to the first place. When you get there, there's information to help you get another set of coordinates, or sometimes it's just a little tube with the coordinates in it that you then put those into your GPS, go to another spot, and then the cache is there. Or they'll take you to more coordinates. There's been like 10-part multis, some are just 2 or 3 parts.
So when
those
you
are
do that,
multi-caches.
how far of a distance from where you look for, and then you go, maybe what's your travel?
Normally,
Like feet or miles or?
normally, it's like within the same park.
Okay.
There was one over in Davenport that was taking you to historic places. So it would take you to this church, and then that would take you to another church, or it would take you to the, one was a Bix one, and it took us to the statue, and it takes you to various places. There was one that took us miles. It was a long one. Once we got partway through it, I said, I don't want to go home because we're so far, so we ended up finishing it, but we were halfway to Muscatine, I think, by the time we got done.
But what happens if you don't find it? That must be really pretty
Well,
frustrating.
then you log in, did not find, or you cry.
Maybe you log in on the computer, you don't log into
I'd
You
say
can't,
that.
you can't sign the sheet, could not find, because you couldn't find it.
No, you log online that you didn't find it. Then there's earth caches, and the earth caches are really neat, especially when you're traveling, because they take you to interesting places that you wouldn't otherwise know about. There's an earth cache in Black Hawk Park that takes you to that prairie area. Talks about the prairie, and in order to log the earth cache, you have to send the cache owner answers to a few questions, like how big was the prairie when, like in 1850 or whatever the sign says, the information's on the sign. How much prairie land is there in the state now? There's one with the limestone cliffs in Black Hawk, there's an earth cache like that. There's one that takes you to the coal mine in Black Hawk Park. There's some talking about erosion on Duck Creek. There's out at Makokata Caves, there's an earth cache. So they teach you about a feature of the land. And I like to do that when I travel, because when I go to California or Colorado, it takes me to neat places. And like I say, you wouldn't otherwise know about them. Botanical Kids. This is a cache page that gives you information about the cache. And this is a regular cache, so it just gives a little brief description of it. One of the important things is it gives you always the difficulty and the terrain rating. Difficulty 1 to 5 and terrain 1 to 5. So if it has a difficulty of 1, it's going to be pretty easy to find. If it has a difficulty of 5, you wouldn't want to start with one that has a difficulty of 5, because those are usually pretty hard to find. Same thing with the terrain. A 1 terrain is handicapped accessible, supposedly. In the old caches, in the olden days, the ratings they would consider a 1 that isn't necessarily handicap accessible, because that was back in 2000. So if it's an older cache, you have to keep in mind that the rating might be lower than what you really think it should be. If you're on level ground and it has a terrain rating of 3 or 4, you probably want to look up that tree, because that's probably where it's going to be. Okay. If it's a 5 terrain, the one on the island was a 5 terrain. You need a boat to get there, or you need, you need climbing gear to get to it. So there's logs on here that tell that I found it, I found it, I found it. So on the page, when you find it, you go online, or you can do it on your phone and say, I found it, and you can write a little. For people who've placed the caches, it's nice to have them write a little bit about their adventure, but they can't just say, I found it, or I didn't find it. If they say they didn't find it, if I get a couple of I didn't find it's in a row, I'll go check on it, because most of mine aren't that hard to find. And so if they're not found, chances are they've been taken or broken or something. Are any of you Harry Potter fans? Do you know what muggles are? Muggles are non-magical people in Harry Potter land. In geocaching land, muggles are non-geocachers. So we always say you have to use stealth, so muggles don't see, because muggles might have a tendency to take the cache. And I had an occasion, one that I placed, someone told me they went to look for it and they couldn't find it. The man across the street, it was a light skirt one, the man across the street said, I think I have what you're looking for. And he explained that he had seen people going there. He thought there was drug activity going on. And so he looked and he took what was there, which was one of these little pill containers. It was like this. And so he took it home. And looked at it, and inside it had the log, and it had geocaching.com. He looked online, he read about it, and he thought, oh, that's pretty cool. So he signed the log, and he just didn't get it back over there yet. So got a new geocacher that way. But sometimes muggles unknowingly take it, or knowingly take it. So that's a
Maybe you're a muggle and don't even know it.
Yeah.
Really?
Some people,
Muggle.
some people have started caching, because they drive down this road and every once in a while they see people at this certain tree. What is people doing at that tree? So eventually they'll stop, curiosity will get them, they'll look and they'll find the cache hanging in the tree. This is an earth cache that was in the middle of a city, it was a waterfall in the middle of a city. I would have never known it if there hadn't been an earth cache at it. This big rock was on the shore up in Canada. Would have never known it was there, but it
It's a
was.
rock or a glacier.
Meteor.
So where was it? In
Really?
that big, was it rock or something, or ice or something?
It was rock. It was
Where
rock.
was it?
Along the shore, we drove from Seattle.
I mean, where on the rock did they hide it?
Oh, it was an earth cache, so there was nothing hidden.
Oh, it was just the rock.
Just bring us to the rock to see it, yeah. The Minnesota watersheds, you learn a lot when you go to the earth caches. Then there's event caches. Events are, there's nothing hidden, it's an event. Could be, let's get together for lunch. So geocachers get together for lunch at a certain place, certain time, and you just talk with other people or get hints, say, I couldn't find that one, can you give me a hint for it? Saturday was Pi Day, if any of you were
Yeah.
mathematicians, Pi Day. So there was an
3, 14,
event.
15.
There was an event at Village Inn, let's have a piece of pie on Pi Day. And then there's cash in, trash out events. Geocachers generally are very earth conscious. And so every once in a while, somebody will say, let's get together at certain location. I'll bring trash bags, bring your gloves, bring your pickups, and just clear trash out of the ravine. There was one at Black Hawk College in the ravine. There was one over at Fedgeberry Park down on the hillside. It was just full of trash. We just hauled out a lot of stuff. So every once in a while, it's a cash in, trash out. And then there's larger events that bring hundreds and thousands of people. Haven't been to one of those. This is a map of the Quad City area. You can see 80 and 280. Every one of those dots is a geocache.
Wow.
Yeah. See 'em? Yeah. The yellow ones are ones that have a smiley. This was from my page, so the ones with the smiley I have found. The ones that are green are the regular caches that I haven't found. You can see a whole road. They have to be at least a tenth of a mile apart, so they don't get confused one with another. So along some of these country roads, literally every tenth of a mile at a post, there's a cache.
I mean, the dots on the map would be on top of each other? Would that be the problem, if they were too close?
No, the caches themselves, they don't want, sometimes if they're way out in the woods, you might not know for sure which one, and they don't want a place to get so thick with them. So the rules are they have to be a tenth of a mile apart. There's also a rule in Illinois now that you can't place one in a cemetery. You used to be able to. I've got one at Dixon Cemetery by Black Hawk Park, the old Pioneer Cemetery. It's on a tree that's within the cemetery. But now you can't place them within the cemetery, but you can along the perimeter, so along the fence line. Other states still allow you to place them in cemeteries. So these are the dots, a closer up view. Each dot is cache. And then if you click on the dot, if you're online and you click on the dot, it'll tell you which cache it is. It'll give you the difficulty and terrain rating, so you know right away, nah, I don't even want to try that one. It also gives you, no, this one doesn't, gives you the date that it was hidden. And then if you click on that, it'll bring you to the cache page itself.
And so this is what you see in your phone, right?
This is what you see
Map.
online.
Oh. so
I'll get to what you
get to
see
that.
on the phone, yeah. If you go online to geocaching.com, that's what we were in. That's the page we were on. It shows that video. And then you can sign up. If you go online, all you have to give is your email address, you give your geocache name, whatever you want it to be. Mine happens to be Waterfall Frog. I like waterfalls and I like frogs, so I'm Waterfall Frog. Everybody knows me in the geocaching world as Waterfall Frog. And then you have your password. So that's all you need to do to register online. It's free, no cost online. It's free. There is a premium membership that you can get. I think it's $30 a year, and that gives you extras. For example, if you want to be notified every time a cache comes out, you'll get an email that says a cache just came out and gives you a link to it. There's a thing in geocaching land of first to find. It's a big deal to be first to find. And I was always frustrated because these people would say, I got it, I'm first to find. This was when I was starting out. And I thought, how did they, I didn't even know it was there yet, because weekly, it notifies you of what caches are there. Well, then I found out with a premium membership, they get an email right away. So I got a premium membership. After 500 first to finds, I finally decided, okay, I'll slow down. It's time, I'll let somebody else get them. At the time, it happened to be, there were a lot of new caches coming out, and I was self-employed, so pretty much free to go whenever, so I just took off and go. So that's, you can register online. Now, this is the geocaching app for your phone, and we just realized, and I had forgotten, that to get the geocaching app for your phone, it's $10 for the app. And that's good. I got one, and it's good for ever. I had switched phones several times, and it just transferred to my new phone. But this is the geocaching app. It's this little symbol right there. And if you click on it, you get this page, and you can see it on there. Easier to see on the actual phone. So I can be out and say I'm here. The big green thing says find nearby geocaches. So if I click on that, ta-da,
No more.
those are the caches that are in the area. Or, that's the map. Or if I want the list, there's a list of them that tells me, the closest one is called Old Moline High. It's
Down
.2,
I know where that is.
About
0.29
3
miles
blocks away,
Yeah,
northeast.
I know where that is.
It's a, difficulty is a 1.5. That's the default difficulty now, so that's what most of them are, unless they're really difficult or especially easy. And it's a small. And it was, that doesn't tell where it's placed. So if, say, okay, let's click on that. This gives me the coordinates, but I don't need them if I'm using my phone because they're already in there. If I'm using my GPS, I need to plug the coordinates in from somewhere. Although I think this now does, but I haven't used it for so long, I use my phone. It's a difficulty 1.5. It was last found December 25th. That's kind of an important piece of information. If it hasn't been found for a year, unless you really, really, really want a challenge, it might be gone, or it might be very, very, very hard to find. And then you can go, okay, I want to know more about this cache. So you hit details, and it says the name of the person, Abbey Road put it there. Location of this cache is near the property of a building that was once a high school. Watch for smugglers. Supposed to be muggles. If you hear the bell ring, you're late for class. Just, okay, so that.
So is that a hint it's by the bell? Is there a bell out there?
No, I don't think so.
Have you found it? Have you found
I-
that one?
I did
Yeah,
find
you did?
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Recent activity, then it shows you the last few logs. So it was found December 25th, October 9th, October 4th, and September 25th. Nobody said anything about having difficulty finding it. If it's a smiley there, they found it. It's a frown if they didn't, it's a different color, so you can see. If there's a whole row of did not find, it's probably not there, so you might want to go on to a different one. Some of them have hints, this particular one doesn't, but some have hints. Sometimes the hints are very helpful. Sometimes
Not so much.
not until after you've found it. Oh, that's what they meant.
Yeah, right.
So, okay, so now, let's say we want to do that. So, let's navigate to it. So then you hit navigate. And there's two ways you can navigate. One is with the compass, which this is showing right now. It's showing it's 0.29 miles away with accuracy of 200 feet. That means now it's 68 feet.
Yeah.
Usually, we're in the building, so it's not as accurate as if you're outside. Usually, now it's 39 feet. Usually, once you get within maybe 20 feet of it, then you have to not rely as much on this, but more on your geosense of where it might be. But if you want to look at the map, this shows the map. You're the blue dot, and then it shows, so if you're, a few blocks away, it shows you which roads you need to take to get there, rather than cutting through yards. So that helps you to find it, and then once you've found it, there's a thing that says found it, and you can write your log right on here. I learned to do it on the computer, so if we can, don't know.
I thought you had to write it on the little slip of paper that was inside the thing. No,
You write on the little slip of paper, but then you log it online.
also,
Right.
same thing?
Yeah.
For your benefit or for
On the
anybody's?
paper, you just sign your name. You saw what we had here, where when we went to recent activity? Okay, Casher Carol, TFTC, that means thanks for the cash. Walt, on October 9th, old school looks nice. Captain and Clark, not in woods, don't try it. Tried not to look awkward. So these are what they logged online. And so then you can get those through this, okay? If we can get out of this and get back to